Before we start, hit subscribe if you want more stories like this. Drop a like and comment where you're watching from. Let's get into it. My name is Thomas Begaye, and in 2003 I was a sergeant with the Navajo Nation Police Department. 20 years on the force. 45 years old. Born and raised on the reservation. Window Rock to the south, Monument Valley to the north, and running straight through the heart of Navajo land was a highway they called the Devil's Road, Route 666. 200 miles of asphalt cutting through Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado, most of it running through the Navajo Nation. Built in 1926 as part of the U.S. highway system, named for its connection to Route 66, the Mother Road. But everyone knew the real reason for the number, the Devil's number, the Beast's number. And that highway earned its reputation. I'd been patrolling Route 666 my entire career, seen things that made other officers quit. Accidents with no logical explanation. Vehicles found abandoned with engines running and doors locked from the inside. Hitchhikers who'd get in your patrol car and vanish before you reach the next town. Lights in the desert that moved wrong. Sounds that came from nowhere. The elders would shake their heads and say the highway never should have been built, that it cut through sacred land, violated old boundaries, woke things that should have stayed sleeping. But the federal government didn't care about Navajo warnings. They never had. They built their road and left us to deal with the consequences. In 2003, the state of New Mexico officially renamed the highway. Route 666 became Route 491. They said it was because people kept stealing the 666 signs as souvenirs. Said it was a practical decision, a matter of maintenance costs and public safety. But I knew better. We all knew better. They renamed it because of what was happening, because the disappearances were getting harder to explain, because even the federal government was starting to get scared of what they'd created when they paved that cursed road 77 years earlier. The renaming happened on May 31st, 2003. 3 days later, my niece Sarah disappeared on that highway. And that's when I learned the truth about Route 666, about what lived there, about what it wanted, about why people vanished. Sarah was 22 years old, smart, beautiful, full of life. She'd been studying at Arizona State University in Tempe, pre-med, wanted to come back to the reservation as a doctor, help her people. She was everything I wished I could have been when I was her age, everything the Navajo Nation needed. June 3rd, 2003, she was driving home for summer break. Called her mother, my sister Mary, at 9 p.m. to say she'd left Tempe and would be home by midnight. It was a 3-hour drive, most of it on Route 666, the route we'd all driven 1,000 times. She never arrived. At 1 a.m., Mary called me, panicked. Sarah should have been home an hour ago. Wasn't answering her phone. Mary had a bad feeling. The kind of feeling Navajo women get when something's wrong with their children. The kind of feeling you don't ignore. I grabbed my radio and called dispatch. Put out a bolo for Sarah's car. A blue 2001 Honda Civic. Arizona plates. Then I got in my patrol vehicle and started driving Route 666 northbound from Gallup. The same route Sarah would have taken. It was a clear night. Full moon. The kind of night where you can see for miles across the desert. The kind of night where there's nowhere to hide. I drove slowly, scanning both sides of the highway with my spotlight, looking for any sign of her car, any sign of an accident, any sign at all. At 2:47 a.m., I found it, mile marker 47, about 30 miles south of Shiprock. Sarah's Honda was pulled over on the shoulder, hazard lights flashing, engine running, headlights on, no visible damage, no sign of a collision or mechanical failure. I pulled up behind it, called it in, gave dispatch the location. Then I approached the vehicle. The driver's door was locked. All doors were locked. I shined my flashlight through the window. Sarah's purse was on the passenger seat. Her phone was plugged into the charger. Her water bottle was in the cup holder. Her backpack was in the back seat. But Sarah was gone. I tried the doors, all locked from the inside. The electronic locks, not manually locked, like someone had pressed the lock button from inside the car and then vanished. I broke the driver's side window, reached in and unlocked the door. The interior was undisturbed, no signs of struggle, no blood, no torn clothing. The keys were in the ignition. The car was in park. The radio was on, tuned to the station Sarah always listened to. On the dashboard, the digital clock read 3:33 a.m. I checked the surrounding area. No footprints in the dirt beyond Sarah's tire tracks. No evidence she'd gotten out of the car. No evidence anyone else had been there. Just an empty vehicle with all her belongings, running engine, and locked doors. My hands were shaking as I called it in. Reported Sarah missing. Requested backup and a search team. But even as I made the call, I felt something. A coldness that had nothing to do with the desert night. A sense of being watched. I looked up and down the highway. Empty. No other vehicles. No lights except my own patrol car and Sarah's Honda. But I could feel it. Something out there in the darkness. Something that had been there when Sarah stopped. Something that had taken her. Backup arrived at 4:15 a.m. 3 other tribal police officers and 2 Navajo Nation Rangers. We searched the area, used tracking dogs, walked grid patterns through the desert on both sides of the highway. Found nothing. At dawn, a wrecker came to tow Sarah's car. We'd process it for evidence. Fingerprints, DNA, anything that might tell us what happened. But I already knew we wouldn't find anything, because this wasn't the first disappearance on Route 666. It wasn't even the 10th, or the 20th. It was the 54th. I'd been keeping track for years, since my first year on the force. Every unexplained disappearance on this highway, every abandoned vehicle, every person who got in a car and never got out, every case that had no evidence, no witnesses, no explanation. 53 people had vanished from Route 666 between 1926 and 2003. Now, Sarah was the 54th, and I was going to find out why. I drove to Window Rock, the capital of the Navajo Nation, went to the tribal police headquarters, pulled the files on every disappearance. Some were recent, some were decades old, but they all had the same elements. Vehicles found running, doors locked, personal belongings inside, no signs of struggle, no evidence of foul play, no bodies ever recovered, and all of them on Route 666, most of them between mile marker 13 and mile marker 66. The earliest case was from 1927, 1 year after the highway opened. A traveling salesman disappeared near mile marker 33. His car was found idling on the shoulder, doors locked, briefcase full of samples still in the trunk. Never seen again. Then nothing until 1934. A young couple vanished near mile marker 52. Their car found with the radio playing. Picnic basket still packed in the back seat. Both gone. The pattern continued. 1 or 2 disappearances every few years. Sometimes a gap of a decade, sometimes 3 in 1 year. But always the same. Always Route 666, always the same mysterious circumstances. I made a timeline, plotted each disappearance on a map, looked for patterns, and I found them. Every disappearance happened at night, not just night, between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Most of them clustered around 3:33 a.m. Every disappearance happened between mile markers 13 and 66. Most concentrated around the middle. Mile markers 33, 47, 52. Every victim was traveling alone. No disappearances when there were multiple people in a vehicle. Only solo drivers. And every disappearance happened on nights with clear weather. No rain, no snow, no fog, just clear, moonlit nights when you could see everything, when there was nowhere to hide. I took my research to my captain, Arthur Nez, Navajo. 60 years old, 35 years on the force. He'd seen everything. I know, he said when I showed him the files. I've known for years. We all have. Then, why hasn't anyone done anything? I asked. Why aren't we investigating? We have investigated. Every single case. Federal authorities have investigated. FBI, state police. Everyone. They never find anything. No evidence, no leads, nothing. After a while, you accept that some things can't be explained. My niece is one of those things now. I'm not accepting that. Captain Nez, Begaye looked at me with tired eyes. Thomas, I know Sarah was family. I know you want answers, but there are no answers. People disappear on that highway. They always have. They always will. The best thing you can do is let it go. I can't do that. Then talk to the elders. They know more than we do. They've always known. I drove to Shiprock, found my grandmother. She was 87 years old, born before Route 666 existed. Remembered when it was built. Remembered the warnings the medicine men gave when the surveyors came through. I told her about Sarah, about the 54 disappearances, about the pattern. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "That road never should have been built." We told them. The holy people marked certain places as boundaries. Crossroads where this world meets the other worlds. Sacred places where you don't build. You don't disturb. You leave them alone. What happens if you disturb them? The boundaries break. Things from the other side can come through. And they do. They've been coming through since 1926. Taking people. Taking them to the other side. Why? Why take them? Because the road is a violation, an insult. Every person who drives it is trespassing, and some are chosen as payment, as punishment, as warning. How do I get Sarah back? You don't. Once they're taken, they're gone. They're in the other world now, part of it. I don't accept that. There has to be a way. My grandmother looked at me with ancient eyes. If you go looking, you'll find it. But finding it means crossing over yourself. And once you cross, you might not come back. I'll take that risk. Then you need to understand what you're facing. It's not a creature, not a monster. It's a guardian. Something that's been watching the crossroads for thousands of years. Long before Navajo. Long before humans. The road broke its prison. Now it walks Route 666, takes travelers, brings them to its realm. They wanted to build on sacred land. Now the land takes its price. When does it come? When does it take people? When the boundaries are thinnest, 3:33 a.m. The inverse of 3, the devil's hour. When this world and the other world are closest. When it can reach through and pull people across. How do I find it? You don't find it. It finds you. Drive Route 666 at 3:33 a.m. Alone. Between mile markers 13 and 66. If it wants you, it will take you. If it doesn't, you'll just drive through and nothing will happen. And if it takes me, then you'll be with Sarah and the other 53. In the place between worlds, where the road goes when it crosses over. I spent the next 3 days preparing, wrote letters to my wife and children, explained what I was doing and why, made sure my affairs were in order, made sure that if I didn't come back, they'd be taken care of. I told Captain Nez what I was planning. He tried to talk me out of it. Said I was letting grief make me crazy. Said there was nothing supernatural about the disappearances. Said I needed to accept that Sarah was gone and move on. But I couldn't move on, wouldn't move on, not until I knew the truth. On June 10th, 2003, I got in my personal vehicle. Not my patrol car, my own truck. A 1998 Ford F-150. I drove to Route 666, now officially renamed Route 491, though the old signs were still up in places. Reminders of what the road had been, what it still was underneath the new designation. I started driving at 3 a.m., entered the highway at mile marker 10, drove slowly, watched the mile markers count up, 13, 20, 33, 40. At 3:30 a.m., I was approaching mile marker 47, where Sarah's car had been found, where she'd disappeared. The road was empty. No other vehicles. No lights except my own headlights cutting through the darkness. The full moon was out, bright enough to see the desert stretching away on both sides, bright enough to see for miles. At 3:33 a.m. exactly, I reached mile marker 47, and I saw it, standing in the middle of the road, illuminated by my headlights. A figure, tall, too tall, maybe 8 feet, thin. Too thin, proportions all wrong, arms too long, legs bent backward, head tilted at an angle that would break a human neck. It was wearing clothes, old clothes, dozens of outfits layered on top of each other, clothing from different eras, 1920s suits and 1950s dresses and 1980s jackets all worn at once, like it had been collecting them, taking them from the people it took. And it was looking at me, not with eyes. It didn't have eyes, just empty sockets. Black holes in a face that was almost human but wrong in every detail. Too long, too narrow. Skin that looked like leather stretched over bone. I hit the brakes. My truck stopped 10 feet from the thing. We stared at each other, or it stared. I'm not sure it needed eyes to see. Then it spoke. The voice came from everywhere. From the radio, from the engine, from inside my head. Thomas Begaye, it said. You've been driving my road for 20 years. I've watched you, waited for you. And now you've come willingly. Where's Sarah? I demanded. Where's my niece? She's where they all are, in the place between, the place where the road goes when it crosses. She's alive. They're all alive, waiting, watching, becoming part of the boundary. I want her back. The thing tilted its head further. The motion was wrong. Inhuman, then you'll have to come get her. Cross over. Walk my road. Find her in the between, if you can. It raised one too long arm, pointed behind me. I looked in my rearview mirror. The road behind me was gone, not dark, not empty, gone. Replaced by something else, a highway that glowed with pale light, that stretched into a distance that wasn't distance, into a space that wasn't space. The crossing, the thing said. The way between. Drive backward and you'll stay here. Drive forward and you'll enter my realm. Choose. I chose. I put the truck in drive and drove forward. Straight toward the thing in the road. It didn't move, just stood there. And as my truck reached it, the world changed. The world didn't change all at once. It was gradual, like driving through a curtain of water. One moment I was on Route 666 in the normal world. The next, I was somewhere else. Somewhere that looked like Route 666, but wrong in ways I couldn't immediately identify. The asphalt was the same. The yellow line down the center was the same. The desert on both sides was the same, but the light was different. Not moonlight, not sunlight, something in between. A pale glow that came from everywhere and nowhere, like the whole sky was luminous. And the silence, complete silence. No engine noise, even though my truck was running. No wind, no insects, no sound at all except my own breathing. I stopped the truck, got out, stood on the highway in this place between worlds, looking around. The thing was gone. The tall figure that had been in the road vanished, but I could feel it. Still watching, still waiting. I walked to the side of the highway. The desert stretched away exactly like it should. Sagebrush and sand and red rock formations in the distance. But there was no movement, no life. Everything was frozen, still, like a photograph. Then I saw the cars, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, scattered through the desert on both sides of the highway. Old cars, new cars, cars from every decade since 1926, all abandoned, all empty, all facing the road like they'd been trying to get back. I walked to the nearest one, a 1952 Chevrolet, rusted, weathered, door hanging open. Inside was a woman's purse, rotted leather, contents spilled across the seat, a driver's license with a photo. Eleanor Martinez, DOB 1923, disappeared 1951. I checked another car, a 1967 Ford Mustang, a man's wallet on the dashboard. Robert Yellowhorse, DOB 1945. Disappeared 1969. Every car was the same. Personal belongings left behind. No bodies, just vehicles and the things people had been carrying when they vanished. I walked back to my truck, got in, started driving deeper into this other world, this place between, looking for Sarah, looking for answers. The highway stretched ahead forever. Mile markers counted up, 48, 49, 50, but they never reached the end, never reached mile marker 67, just kept counting in the 40s and 50s, looping, repeating. Then I saw the first person, standing beside the road, a man in a 1920s suit, staring at nothing. I stopped the truck, got out, approached him. He didn't react, didn't move, just stood there, eyes empty, face blank. "Excuse me," I said, "can you hear me?" His eyes moved, focused on me. When he spoke, his voice was distant, hollow. "You're new," he said. "Just crossed, still fresh, still yourself. What is this place? The between, the boundary, the place where the road goes when it crosses worlds. We're all here, everyone who was taken, everyone who drove Route 666 at the wrong time. How long have you been here?" "Since 1927. I was the first, traveling salesman. Broke down near mile marker 33. It came for me at 3:33 a.m. Been here ever since. 76 years? Time doesn't pass the same here. Feels like yesterday. Feels like forever. Both at once. I need to find someone. My niece, Sarah Begaye. Taken 3 days ago, 3 days there. Could be 3 years here, could be 3 hours. Time doesn't work right in the between. But if she's here, she'll be on the road. They all are. Walking, waiting, becoming part of the boundary." He pointed down the highway. "Keep driving. You'll find them all eventually. We're all on the road, always on the road, never leaving, never arriving." I got back in my truck, kept driving. The highway stretched ahead, eternal, unchanging. I passed more people, dozens of them, standing or walking along the shoulder. Men and women and children from every era, all with that same blank expression, that same hollow voice. I stopped for each one, asked them their names, when they disappeared, how they got here. The stories were all the same. Driving Route 666 alone at night between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Seeing the figure in the road, the world changing, crossing over into the between. Some had been here for decades, some for years. The most recent besides Sarah was a trucker named Mike Stevens. Disappeared May 28, 2003, just 4 days before the highway was renamed. He told me what I needed to know. The Guardian, he said. That's what the old-timers call it. The thing that took us. It's been here forever. Long before Route 666, long before any road. It was guarding a crossroads. A place where different worlds meet. Sacred land. The Navajo knew. That's why they avoided this area. That's why they tried to stop the highway from being built. What happened when they built it anyway? They broke the seal, the boundary that kept the worlds separate. The Guardian was bound to the crossroads, couldn't leave, couldn't interfere with the natural world. But the highway changed that, paved over the sacred ground, violated the boundary, set it free. So now it takes people, now it collects them, one for each violation. Each car that drives over the crossroads is another insult, another breach. So it takes drivers, brings them here, makes them part of the boundary, rebuilding what was broken, using us as the new seal. Can we leave? Mike looked at me with dead eyes. You can leave, you're still fresh, still connected to the other side. But the longer you stay, the more you become part of this place. Eventually, you'll fade, become like us, just another ghost on the road, another piece of the boundary. How long do I have? He shrugged. Hours, days. Depends on how strong your connection is. But if you want to leave, you need to do it soon. And you need to take the Guardian with you. What do you mean? It can't exist in both worlds. Right now, it's here in the between. That's why it can take people, because it's on this side of the boundary. But if you could force it back to the normal world, it would be bound again, trapped, unable to cross, unable to take anyone else. How do I force it back? I don't know. No one's ever tried. We're all too far gone, too much a part of this place. But you're different. You came here on purpose. You're looking for someone. That connection might be strong enough. I kept driving, searching for Sarah, passing more victims, more people trapped in this eternal highway, this place between worlds. Finally, at what felt like mile marker 47 again, I found her, standing on the shoulder, looking out at the desert, wearing the same clothes she'd been wearing when she disappeared. Blue jeans, a SU t-shirt, sneakers. "Sarah," I called out. I got out of the truck, ran to her. She turned, looked at me. For a moment, her eyes were empty like the others. Then, recognition flickered. "Uncle Thomas?" Her voice was weak, distant. "What are you doing here? I came to get you, to bring you home." "Home?" She looked confused. "Where's home? I've been walking for so long, trying to remember. But it's fading, everything's fading." I grabbed her shoulders. "You've only been here 3 days, Sarah. 3 days in the real world. Your mother is worried sick. Your family's looking for you. You need to come back." 3 days. She blinked. Feels like months. Maybe years. Time is strange here. I can't remember anymore. Come with me. Get in the truck. We're leaving. You can't leave. We're part of the boundary now. The Guardian said so. We're here forever, rebuilding the seal, maintaining the balance. The Guardian is lying. You're not part of anything. You're a victim, a prisoner, and I'm getting you out. I led her to the truck. She followed mechanically, like sleepwalking. I got her in the passenger seat, buckled her in. Then I got behind the wheel. I turned the truck around, started driving back the way I'd come, toward where the crossing should be, toward the way out. but the road didn't go back, just kept stretching forward. Mile markers counting up, never reversing, never going backward. "We're trapped," Sarah said. "I told you. No one leaves." I stopped the truck, got out, looked around. The highway stretched in both directions. Identical, eternal. No beginning, no end. Then I heard the voice. "You cannot leave, Thomas Begaye. You crossed willingly. Entered my realm. Now you belong here, you and your niece. Both of you will maintain the boundary. Both of you will pay for the violation." I looked up. The guardian was standing in the road, impossibly tall, wearing its collection of stolen clothing. Empty sockets staring. "Let her go," I said. She didn't cross willingly. She was taken. All are taken. All who drive the cursed road. All who violate the sacred crossroads. Your government built this highway. Your people drive it. Your species refuses to respect the boundaries. So you pay the price. You were imprisoned, I said. The holy people sealed you, bound you, kept you from taking people. I was protecting the boundary, maintaining the separation between worlds. Your kind broke that protection, paved over it, insulted it. Now I protect it differently, with the souls of those who cross. Sarah was the 54th person you've taken, 54 people over 77 years. That's not protection. That's murder. It's restoration. Each person I take becomes part of the new boundary. Their souls weave together, create a barrier between worlds. Eventually, there will be enough. The seal will be complete, and I will sleep again. How many more? How many people do you need? Until the road is undone, until the violation is erased, until balance is restored, maybe 100, maybe 1,000, maybe 10,000. Time has no meaning for me. I will collect forever if necessary. No. I stepped toward it. You won't, because I'm taking Sarah and leaving. And you can't stop me. The guardian tilted its head. That familiar, wrong motion. You think you have power here, in my realm? You're already fading. Look at your hands. I looked down. My hands were translucent. I could see through them, see the highway beneath. I was becoming like the others. Becoming a ghost, becoming part of the boundary. "Fight it," a voice said. I turned. The man in the 1920s suit, the first victim, standing beside the road, and behind him others. Dozens of them, all the victims, all stepping forward. "We can't leave," the man said. "We're too far gone. But you can. You're still connected, still alive. Take the girl and go, before it's too late." "How?" I asked. "The guardian's power comes from the boundary, from being in the between. But you brought something with you, something from the other side." "What?" "Your badge, your authority. The power of law, it doesn't belong here, doesn't fit in this place. Use it. Force the guardian to acknowledge it. Make it answer to the real world's rules." I pulled out my badge. Navajo Nation Police, Sergeant. 20 years of service, 20 years of authority. "I am Sergeant Thomas Begaye," I said. "Navajo Nation Police. And you are in violation of federal law. Kidnapping, murder, 54 counts. I am placing you under arrest." The guardian laughed, a horrible sound. "Your laws mean nothing here. They mean something to me, and I'm still connected to that world, still an officer, still representing the law. You have to answer for what you've done." I stepped forward, held up my badge. The silver metal gleamed in that strange pale light. And for the first time, the guardian stepped back. The guardian stepped back, just one step. But it was enough. Proof that my badge, my authority, my connection to the real world still had power here. You will leave, I said. My voice was stronger now, more certain. You will release these people. You will answer for your crimes. The Guardian's empty sockets stared at me. When it spoke, there was something new in its voice. Not fear, exactly, but uncertainty. You don't understand what you're asking. These people are the boundary. Remove them and the worlds will bleed together. Chaos will spread. Reality will fracture. The man in the 1920s suit stepped forward. That's a lie. The boundary existed before you took us. Existed for thousands of years. You're not protecting anything. You're taking revenge. Punishing people for what their government did. Other victims joined him, surrounding the Guardian, surrounding me and Sarah. Dozens of them, ghosts of the disappeared, finally standing up to the thing that had imprisoned them. We weren't violations, a woman said. She was wearing a 1960s dress. She'd been young when she was taken, maybe 30. Now she'd been here 40 years. We were innocent. Travelers. People just trying to get from one place to another. You had no right to take us. I had every right. The Guardian's voice was rising, becoming multiple voices. The highway violated sacred ground. Every car that drives it compounds the violation. Every person who crosses deserves punishment. No, I said, the government deserves punishment. The surveyors who ignored the warnings, the construction crews who paved over the sacred land, the politicians who approved the project. They deserve to answer for what they did. These people were just driving, just living their lives. Intent doesn't matter. The boundary was broken. The sacred was desecrated. Someone must pay. Then I'll pay, I said. Take me instead of Sarah. Let her go back. Keep me here. 1 for 1. Fair trade. Uncle Thomas, no, Sarah said. She was more alert now, more like herself. Being near me, near something real, was bringing her back. Don't do this, I have to. You have your whole life ahead of you. I'm 45, I've lived. You deserve a chance. The Guardian tilted its head. Considering. A trade. Interesting. You would sacrifice yourself willingly? Yes. Then your sacrifice would be worth more than hers. A willing soul has greater power, greater strength. It would help seal the boundary faster. Good, then let her go. No. The man in the suit stepped between us. That's not how this works. If you stay, it just continues. The collecting, the imprisoning. One trade doesn't stop it. It just validates it. Makes it think this is acceptable. Then what do? You force it back. Send it to the other side. Make it face justice in the real world where it has no power. How? The voices. The ghosts of the disappeared. They were all talking now, sharing what they'd learned in their decades of imprisonment. Sharing the secrets they'd discovered about this place. About the Guardian. About the boundary. It needs the between to survive, one said. Can't exist fully in either world. Too much for the real world. Too little for the spirit world. Only the boundary sustains it. But the boundary only exists because of the road, another added. Because Route 666 cuts through the sacred crossroads. Remove the road and the boundary collapses. Can't remove a highway, I said. Not physically, but symbolically. The man in the suit was nodding. The government renamed it. Changed 666 to 491. That was symbolic. An admission that the old road was wrong. That act weakened the boundary, weakened the Guardian's power. That's why it's been more active lately. Taking more people. Getting desperate. The renaming disrupted its connection to the road. Now it's trying to rebuild that connection through us. through collecting more souls before the boundary fails completely. So, the renaming was working? The government actually did something right? By accident. They thought they were just changing a number, didn't realize they were performing a kind of exorcism. Removing the devil's road, making it something new, something not cursed. Then we need to complete it. I looked at the Guardian. You're already fading. The road that gave you power is gone. Route 666 doesn't exist anymore. It's Route 491, a different highway, a different name. You have no claim to it. Names are just symbols, the Guardian said. But its voice was weaker, less certain. The road is the same, the violation is the same. No, it's not. The government acknowledged their mistake, changed the designation, took away your claim. You're holding on to something that doesn't exist anymore. A ghost road for a ghost guardian. I turned to the victims. You said I'm still connected to the real world, still solid. What if I drove out, went back through the crossing? You could, the man said. But you'd have to bring the guardian with you, force it through, make it exist in the real world where it has no power over the road anymore. How do I force it? Use us. We're part of the boundary, part of what holds it here. If we all let go at once, all stopped maintaining the seal, the boundary would collapse. Everything would get pulled back to one side or the other. You'd be trapped in the real world, I said to the Guardian, bound by physical laws, subject to human authority. You'd face justice for 54 kidnappings, 54 murders. I cannot die. No, but you can be imprisoned, the way the holy people imprisoned you before, the way you should have stayed imprisoned. We'll find a way to seal you again, this time with protections you can't break. The Guardian's form was flickering now, becoming less solid. The victims were right, it was fading. The renaming had weakened it, cut its connection to the source of its power. You cannot defeat me, it said, but the voice was desperate now. I am eternal. I am the boundary itself. You're a prisoner who broke free. I have pulled out my cuffs. Real metal cuffs from the real world. And I'm taking you back. I lunged forward, grabbed the Guardian's too long arm, snapped the cuff around what passed for its wrist. The effect was immediate. The Guardian shrieked, a sound that wasn't sound. A vibration that shook the entire realm. Its form solidified, became more real, more physical. The cuffs were from the real world. Touching them forced the Guardian to become real too. Now, I shouted to the victims, let go, all of you. Stop maintaining the boundary. They obeyed. 53 souls, all releasing their grip on the between at once, all letting go of the invisible threads that held this realm together. The highway started to crack, fissures spreading across the asphalt, the pale light flickering, the desert dissolving into static, the entire realm coming apart. Sarah, get in the truck, I yelled. She ran, got in the passenger side. I dragged the Guardian toward the driver's side. It fought, struggled, but the cuffs held. The connection to the real world held. I threw it in the back of the truck, slammed the door, got behind the wheel. Drive, the man in the suit shouted. Drive back to the crossing, before it's too late. I floored it. The truck accelerated. The highway was falling apart around us. Sections of road vanishing into white void. The mile markers counting down now. 66, 50, 33, 13. The victims were fading too, becoming transparent, being released from the boundary. Some were aging rapidly, decades of stasis catching up to them. Others were simply dissolving, becoming light, becoming nothing. Thank you, the man in the suit said as he faded. His voice was peaceful. Free. Tell my family I'm sorry. Tell them I love them. Then he was gone. Just light, just memory. I drove faster. The truck was barely holding together. The boundary collapse was affecting everything. Even my vehicle from the real world was starting to break down. Tires going flat, engine sputtering, but it held, just long enough. I saw it ahead. The crossing, the place where I'd entered. A tear in reality, a doorway back to Route 666, back to the normal world. The Guardian screamed behind me, realizing what was happening, trying to break free, but the cuffs held, and the truck was almost there, almost. We hit the crossing. The world exploded into light and sound and sensation, heat and cold and pressure and weightlessness all at once. The truck was tumbling, spinning, breaking apart. I grabbed Sarah, held her, protected her as we fell through the dimensions. Then we hit asphalt, real asphalt, solid ground. The truck rolled 3 times and came to rest on its roof. Windows shattered, metal crumpled. But we were alive. I kicked out the windshield, pulled Sarah through. We collapsed on the highway. Route 666, no, Route 491. The real road. The renamed road. The road that no longer belonged to the Guardian. Sarah was coughing, bleeding from cuts, but alive, conscious. Back. "Uncle Thomas," she gasped. "What happened? Where are we?" "Home," I said. "We're home." Behind us, something was moving in the wreckage of the truck. The Guardian, pulling itself out. But it was different now. Solid, physical, bound by the laws of the real world. It stood up, still tall, still wrong, but no longer ethereal, no longer able to phase between worlds. Just a physical being, trapped, mortal. I pulled my gun, aimed at it. "You're under arrest," I said, "for kidnapping, for murder, for 54 counts over 77 years. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. You have—" It lunged, fast, too fast, grabbed me, those 2 long arms wrapping around me, crushing, trying to break me, trying to kill me before I could finish the arrest. But then headlights, vehicles approaching, backup. Other tribal police officers responding to the crash. They screeched to a stop, got out, drew weapons, saw the thing holding me, started shooting. Bullets tore through it. It was physical now. Bullets worked. It shrieked, released me, staggered back. More vehicles arrived, more officers, more bullets. The Guardian fell, collapsed on the highway, bleeding something that wasn't blood, dying something that wasn't death. But before it died, it looked at me, those empty sockets, and it spoke one last time. "The boundary is broken, the seal is gone. Without it, without me, the worlds will bleed. Spirits will cross, things will come through. You've doomed more than you've saved." Then it stopped moving, stopped breathing, became just a corpse, a thing that shouldn't exist but did, a body we'd have to explain, a mystery that would raise questions. Captain Nez arrived, looked at the scene, at the crashed truck, at Sarah alive, at the thing dead on the highway, at me covered in blood and bruises. "What the hell happened, Thomas?" I couldn't explain, not all of it, not the truth. So I simplified. The thing that's been taking people from Route 666, I found it, fought it, killed it. Sarah's safe. The disappearances will stop. Is it over? I looked at the Guardian's corpse, at the highway stretching away into darkness, at the place where the between had been. "Yeah," I said, "it's over." But I was lying, because I could feel it. The boundary was gone. The Guardian was dead. And that meant the crossroads were unguarded. The worlds were no longer separate, and anything could cross. The disappearances on Route 666 might be over, but something worse was beginning. The FBI arrived at dawn. Black SUVs and agents in suits who looked at the scene like they'd seen impossible things before and learned not to ask too many questions. They took the Guardian's body, loaded it into a truck with no markings, told us we'd never speak of this again, told us it was classified, told us to forget everything. But you don't forget something like that. You don't forget seeing another world. You don't forget the voices of 53 souls trapped for decades. You don't forget killing something that should never have existed. Sarah was in the hospital for 3 days. Dehydration, shock, minor injuries from the crash. The doctors couldn't explain why she had no memory of the time between her disappearance and her rescue. Couldn't explain the symptoms that looked like she'd been missing for months instead of days. Couldn't explain the way she'd aged slightly, just a few years, barely noticeable. But there, time moved differently in the between. She'd been there for what felt like months. Her body knew it, even if the calendar said otherwise. I visited her every day, sat by her bed, held her hand, tried to explain what had happened. But how do you explain something like that? How do you make someone understand they were in another world? That they were one of 54 people collected by an ancient thing that guarded sacred crossroads? She remembered fragments, the pale light, the endless highway, the feeling of fading. But her mind was protecting her, blocking the worst of it, letting her believe it was trauma, a bad dream, stress from the kidnapping. I let her believe it. Better that than the truth. Mary, my sister, cried when I brought Sarah home, hugged her, wouldn't let go, thanked me over and over, said I'd saved her life, said I was a hero. But I didn't feel like a hero, because I kept hearing the Guardian's last words. The boundary is broken. The worlds will bleed. You've doomed more than you've saved. I went back to work a week later. Captain Nez called me into his office. The FBI wants this buried, he said. No reports, no records, no mention of what really happened. As far as anyone knows, you found Sarah being held by a crazy kidnapper. You fought him, killed him, end of story. And the other 53? They're still missing. Still unsolved cases. We can't explain them without explaining everything. And we can't explain everything without sounding insane. So we just forget them? Pretend they never existed? We honor them by making sure it doesn't happen again. By watching Route 491. By protecting people. By learning from what happened. You mean Route 666, Captain Nez shook his head. It's Route 491 now. Has been for 3 months. The old road is gone. The curse is broken. The disappearances will stop. But they didn't stop. A week after I returned to work, we got a call. Vehicle found on Route 491. Mile marker 33, engine running, doors locked, driver missing, no signs of struggle. I responded. Knew before I arrived what I'd find. And I was right. Empty car. Personal belongings inside. No evidence of where the driver had gone. Just vanished, like the 54 before, like Sarah, like all of them. The Guardian was dead. The boundary was broken. But something was still taking people from the highway. I investigated, checked the time of disappearance. 3:33 a.m. Checked the mile marker. Between 13 and 66, same pattern, same everything. Except now there was no Guardian to blame. No entity to fight. No crossroads to seal. The driver's name was Michael Tottacini, 28 years old. Navajo. Worked construction in Farmington. Was driving home to Shiprock. Never arrived. I interviewed his family, his friends, anyone who might know something, found nothing. He'd just vanished, like stepping out of reality. Over the next month, 3 more people disappeared, all on Route 491. All at 3:33 a.m., all between mile markers 13 and 66, all without explanation. I went back to my grandmother, told her what had happened, how I'd killed the guardian, broken the boundary, saved Sarah. She listened without speaking. Then she said, "You killed the prison guard and left the prison open. What do you mean? The guardian wasn't taking people for revenge. It was taking them to maintain the boundary, to keep the worlds separate. Now the boundary is gone. Nothing is keeping the spirits in their realm. Nothing is stopping them from crossing over. So the disappearances now are different. Not the guardian collecting, just spirits crossing through, taking people, pulling them into the other side, random, chaotic, without purpose or pattern, worse than before. How do I stop it? You don't, you can't. The boundary was maintained for thousands of years by the holy people. It would take another intervention by them to rebuild it, and they don't intervene anymore. They left this world to us. We broke it. We have to live with the consequences. There has to be a way." She looked at me with ancient, sad eyes. "There was. The guardian. You killed it. Now there's nothing but hope that eventually the crossroads will seal itself. Maybe in 100 years, maybe in 1,000. Until then, people will disappear. Not as many as before, not as systematic. But it will keep happening. I can't accept that. Then you'll spend the rest of your life fighting something you can't defeat, trying to fix something you broke, living with the guilt." She was right, but I did it anyway. I started patrolling Route 491 every night, driving from mile marker 13 to 66 and back, watching for anyone pulled over, anyone in trouble, anyone about to disappear. Most nights I saw nothing, just empty highway, just normal travelers passing through. But some nights I saw them, spirits, things that weren't quite human, walking along the shoulder, standing in the road, trying to cross, trying to enter the real world. I'd flash my lights, sound my siren, chase them off, force them back. It worked sometimes. They'd retreat, fade into the desert, return to whatever realm they'd come from. But sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes they'd grab a driver before I could reach them, pull them through the barrier, take them to the other side. I saved 4 people in 6 months, lost 7. The FBI stopped responding to my reports, told me to drop it, told me the case was closed, told me I was becoming obsessed. Captain Nez put me on desk duty, said I needed rest, said I was suffering from PTSD, said the Sarah rescue had affected me more than I wanted to admit. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was obsessed. But I'd seen the truth, knew what was happening, knew that my actions had consequences, and I couldn't just walk away. Sarah recovered, went back to college, finished her pre-med program, got accepted to medical school, achieved her dream of becoming a doctor, came back to the reservation, started helping people. She didn't remember the between, didn't remember the other victims, didn't remember being trapped in that eternal highway. Her mind had locked it away, protected her. But sometimes she'd call me late at night, say she'd had a dream about walking forever, a dream about being on a road that never ended, a dream about being part of something she couldn't quite remember. I'd talk to her, calm her down, tell her it was just stress, just dreams. Nothing real, more lies, but necessary ones. I kept a file, documentation of every disappearance on Route 491 since I killed the Guardian. 13 people in 2 years. Not as many as before, not as systematic, but still happening. I compared them to the old disappearances, the ones from when the Guardian was alive. Found differences. The Guardian's victims were all taken between 3:33 a.m. and 3:37 a.m. Precise, consistent. The new disappearances happened at random times. 2 a.m., 4 a.m., sometimes during the day. The Guardian's victims were all solo drivers. The new ones included passengers, multiple people in a vehicle, all taken. The Guardian's victims' cars were always found intact. The new ones sometimes had evidence of struggle, broken windows, blood, signs of violence. The Guardian had been selective, methodical, purpose-driven. Whatever was taking people now was chaotic, random, hungry. I showed the file to my grandmother, asked her what it meant. Many spirits, she said, not one. The boundary is gone. The crossroads are open. Any spirit from any realm can cross now. Some are curious. Some are malicious. Some are just lost. But they all come through the same place, the sacred crossroads. Mile markers 13 to 66. How many? She shook her head. Impossible to know. Could be dozens. Could be hundreds. The spirit world is vast, and they've been sealed away from this world for so long. Now they have access. Of course they cross. Will it ever end? When the crossroads seal naturally. When enough time passes that the wound in reality heals. Could be generations. Could be never. So I condemned everyone who drives that highway. Everyone who crosses those miles. I killed the Guardian and opened a door that can't be closed. You did what you thought was right. You saved your niece. Saved the 53 souls that were trapped. They're free now. At peace. That matters. But at what cost? Every choice has a cost. Every action has consequences. You can't save everyone. Can't fix everything. You're just one man. One police officer. You did your best. My best wasn't good enough. I returned to patrol duty in 2005. 2 years after Sarah's rescue. 2 years after killing the Guardian. 2 years of watching people disappear from Route 491 and being unable to stop it. Captain Nez gave me strict orders. No more obsessing. No more overnight patrols of the highway. No more pursuing theories about spirits and boundaries and crossroads. Just do my job. Respond to calls. File reports. Stay sane. I tried. I really did. I focused on the work, on helping people, on being a good officer, on putting the guilt aside. But every time I drove Route 491, I felt it. The openness, the wrongness, the sense that the barrier between worlds was thin here, that things could cross, that the highway was dangerous in ways it had never been before. And I was right. July 2005. A family of 4 disappeared. Parents and 2 kids found their SUV at mile marker 52, all doors open, engine running, food still warm in a cooler. They'd been having a picnic on the side of the road. All 4 gone. No evidence. No witnesses. No explanation. I investigated, found nothing physical. But when I stood at mile marker 52, I could feel them. Their presence. Not quite here. Not quite gone. Trapped somewhere in between. Caught in the crossing. I tried to reach them, tried to pull them back, but I couldn't. Whatever had taken them was keeping them, and I didn't have the power to fight it. September 2005. 2 motorcyclists disappeared. Mile marker 33. Broad daylight. Cars passing both directions. Nobody saw anything. The motorcyclists were just riding. Then they weren't there anymore. Vanished between 1 second and the next. Their bikes were found on the shoulder. Still running, still in gear, just no riders. I wrote reports, filed documentation, built a database. 68 disappearances on Route 491 between 2003 and 2005. All between mile markers 13 and 66. All without explanation. The FBI classified it. Made it disappear from official records. Told local authorities to stop investigating. Told the families it was an ongoing investigation. Told everyone to be patient. But there was no investigation. just a cover-up. Just an attempt to hide the fact that a highway in Arizona was actively taking people to another dimension. In 2006, I tried something desperate. I contacted a medicine man, a hatali, someone who knew the old ways, the ceremonies, the protections. His name was Samuel Nez, no relation to Captain Nez, 90 years old, respected, powerful. If anyone could reseal the boundary, it was him. I told him everything. About the Guardian, about the Between, about killing it and breaking the seal, about the continuing disappearances. He listened, then he said, "I cannot fix this. The boundary was created by the holy people. Only they can restore it. And they're gone from this world. Have been for generations. Isn't there a ceremony, a way to close it? Ceremonies work if the boundaries are intact, if the crossroads are sealed. But you destroyed the seal, killed the Guardian. Now there's nothing to build on, nothing to restore. Just an open wound in reality. So everyone who drives that highway is in danger, forever. Not everyone. Most people will cross safely. The spirits are selective. They take those who are vulnerable, those who are alone, those whose connection to this world is weak. Strong people, protected people. They usually pass through unharmed. Usually, nothing is certain anymore. You removed certainty when you broke the Guardian. Before, we knew the pattern, knew when it was dangerous, knew how to avoid it. Now it's random. Chaos. Anything can happen. I'm sorry, I didn't know. You saved your niece. You freed 53 souls. Those were good things. But good things can have terrible consequences. The universe demands balance. You saved 54. Now 68 have been taken. The scales are still settling. When will they balance? When the debt is paid? When enough have crossed? When the wound heals naturally? Could be next year. Could be never. I left his Hogan feeling worse than when I'd arrived, because he'd confirmed what I already knew, what I'd been afraid to accept. I'd saved Sarah, but in doing so, I'd condemned everyone else who would ever drive that highway. Condemned them to random disappearances, to being taken by spirits I couldn't fight, to vanishing into the between without warning or pattern. The Guardian had been evil, had been taking people unjustly, but it had been consistent, predictable. You could avoid it if you knew the rules. Now there were no rules, just chaos. I'm writing this in 2006, 3 years after I killed the Guardian, 3 years after breaking the boundary, 3 years of watching people disappear and being unable to stop it. Route 491 is still open, still operational. Thousands of people drive it every day. Most make it through safely, but some don't. Some vanish, and their families never get answers. I keep patrolling, keep watching, keep trying to protect people. I've saved maybe a dozen over the years. Lost more than 80. The FBI knows. The Navajo Nation government knows. Everyone knows. But nobody does anything because there's nothing to do. You can't close a highway because of spirits. You can't tell people the truth without sounding insane. So we lie. We cover up. We call them disappearances, unsolved cases, missing persons, and we hope that someday, somehow, the crossroads will seal themselves. But I don't think they will. I think I opened something that can't be closed, created a wound that won't heal, and people will keep disappearing from Route 491 forever. Sarah is doing well. She's in her 2nd year of medical school, still wants to come back to the reservation, still wants to help people, still has no memory of the between. She calls me sometimes, thanks me for saving her, tells me I'm her hero, but I'm not a hero. I'm the man who saved one person and doomed hundreds. The man who killed a monster and created something worse. The man who broke the world trying to fix it. Every night I drive Route 491. Mile markers 13 to 66. Watching. Waiting. Hoping to save someone. Knowing I can't save everyone. Living with the guilt. The highway stretches ahead, dark. Empty. Dangerous. And somewhere in the distance, between the worlds, the spirits wait. Always waiting, always hungry, always crossing.